the backstory on the thread I want to show you. I don't know if you'll recognize this. It's a couple years old. Do you recognize it? Yes. Thank you. This is Dhaka, Bangladesh in May. Not last year, but the year before. This is the garment factory that collapsed and took the lives of over 1,000 people when it collapsed. You know, in a single moment. Such devastation. And I remember watching on CNN, I remember watching Sheikh Hasina, the prime minister. And she was on TV, and after expressing what did sound like sincere regret for the families who had experienced loss in this tragedy, when they said, what is to be done about it? What is the explanation for what has happened? There was this very artful shrugging of the shoulders. And she said, accidents happen. Which was tough to swallow. Tough to swallow for a lot of people. And I'm not talking about vengeance or justice or making somebody pay or holding somebody accountable, although those feelings come up strong when you're in the passion of feeling pain and sadness and regret. But I am curious about whether or not there is a systemic reason that could be uncovered and perhaps put in place to prevent this. And it was interesting because at the time I was working with some people who were like this, environmentalists, government agents, and economic development proponents. And they were struggling a lot with the whole activity of permitting, right? Why do I have to have a permit to build this thing here? This is going to build jobs. This is going to help people. No, because then you're always getting in the way of the salmon who are trying to go upstream. No, because my regulation book, on which I have invested my whole life perfecting an understanding, says right here, regulation 49.567, say, A, you may not put a culvert there. And they were just at odds. Nothing good was happening. And what I sensed in that was that the primary unsaid dynamic was that the interests who wanted unbridled economic development were not acknowledging that the people doing the permits, right, they focused on that bureaucratic execution of that. They didn't understand. Those people trying to support that regulation believe with every fiber of their bodies that they're preventing this. That's why they are trying to put in the safety measures or the regulation, and it wasn't understood. Then that enabled us to have a breakthrough and have folks see that there is a point on the logic model where we all share this interest. We do want a community that is thriving and healthy, because no one's going to cite a business someplace where the water isn't clean and the kids aren't healthy because the environment isn't healthy or the buildings aren't safe. So it got us to the we're all in this together mindset and let us pivot off of the idea that there are villains and victims. So you could lay that stuff down and really start working on this project together. And so what was important when we wrote this logic model was that this little statement here was just like vindication for the people who just needed to be seen for what they contributed to it. So in the effort to make permit processing faster, more efficient, right? We're trying to be efficient. It needed to be acknowledged that that doesn't mean sloppy work or easy passes, right? Or just say yes because the customer's always right. We're doing work that's too important for those simplistic labels and paradigms. But those simplistic paradigms and labels sometimes help you get to a way of describing what you're trying to accomplish. So this is a question that invokes possibility, right? What could happen if you're really, really good at what you do? Sometimes the question is about not having information. I wouldn't know, but I'm starting to ask the questions. How would we know if that link is actually working? Where does information exist, or how might we go get information about whether or not that is working? Where do you stand today? Can you express the degree to which that aspect of your theory of change, your system, what you are doing is working? And who might be interested in that information, and what would be the ways to express those results? So if you have a very well-developed logic model, that's good. You can take a few more steps in this direction. If you're just beginning and you've never measured some of that stuff, then use these questions to coach your partner on their logic model and see if you can help them to 1 degree more of clarity on their purpose and how they would be able to describe that purpose. And this is my favorite one. What would you want people to think, do, or say? Right? If you were to show someone or tell someone what you're doing, the theory of your change, can you express it so clearly that after meeting them for a moment or two, they would turn around and say, you know what? David is changing the world through dance. Let me tell you how it works. And boom, they would have it.